Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and my law firm assists professionals with employment contract issues. Today I'm going to talk about whether an employer can make an employee sign a non-compete after the employment relationship has been terminated. So there's a little bit to unpack here, so let's just start with if you're a professional and you're with an employer, the only way they can enforce a non-compete is unless you've signed a contract that contains a non-compete. So if you're offered an employment agreement or independent contractor agreement, then if it does contain a non-compete, then obviously the terms of that non-compete are going to dictate what happens after the employment relationship ends. So in any employment contract, there's going to be what's called restrictive covenants. These are things that a professional can't do either during or after the employment relationship is either ongoing or terminated. And a non-compete is one of those restrictive covenants. Most employers, when I say most, I mean like 95% of employers are going to put the non-compete in the agreement before you start employment with them. It honestly doesn't make a ton of sense for an employer to provide you with a non-compete after the relationship ends. So can an employer provide a non-compete after the employment relationship ends? Yes, and they would only really do that in, two scenarios. You're not required to sign a non-compete after the employment relationship ends if you didn't sign one originally. So in that scenario, the employer is going to use one of two things to make you sign the non-compete. One, they're just going to offer you a certain amount of money. And then it would be like a separate negotiation as far as the terms of whatever non-compete that is. Or two, they could tie some kind of severance agreement into an additional non-compete. So for instance, if they did, let's just say the employee was terminated without cause, the employer could offer a severance agreement that would have some kind of additional payment for a period of time, continuing benefits for a period of time. But they also could say, we will give you the severance, but you're going to have to sign not only the severance agreement, which will have some kind of release of claims, meaning you can't sue them for almost anything after you sign the severance agreement. But you're gonna have to sign a non-compete too. And so they can do this. They can tie a non-compete to the severance agreement unless there's some kind of document that states they can't. It's pretty rare if you're an employee that signed an employment agreement to get some kind of severance anyway. In the medical profession, sales profession, it's very rare where you would get a severance agreement or continued payment after the original employment contract ends. So you do have the leverage if you haven't signed a non-compete, and then after the contract is terminated, they ask you to sign one. So you're going to have to do some math. So one, is whatever they're going to pay you worth, giving up your ability to practice in whatever specific profession you're in for a period of time? Or is the severance agreement, meaning the ongoing payment and benefits, worth more than you being able to continue on doing what you're doing in the area? For some people, the non-compete can be the most important thing. If you have ties to an area, family, kids in school, and there's just absolutely no way you can move after the contract ends, well, in that case, the non-compete can be the deal breaker between whether a job is great or not. For some people, they've moved specifically to that town for that job, and they could care less if there's a non-compete after the contract ends. They'll just move on to a new community. So if you're in that scenario and they're offering you some kind of sum of money or severance in return for signing the non-compete, and you were going to move anyway, well, then it's a no-brainer. Assuming it's not like some kind of unconscionable non-compete that will follow you to whatever town you want to move into. Can the employer force you to sign? No, they can't, but they can use leverage meaning you're not going to get paid unless you sign this. Just kind of depends upon the person and the professional and what's most important to them. If you have any questions about an employment agreement, independent contractor agreement, or your non-compete, feel free to contact my law firm at the phone number listed below in the description, or you can reach us through our website, chellelaw.com. If you thought this video was helpful, like, subscribe to the channel. We release videos every single day. All right, appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.